this a one-time adventure, or are you considering this as your new career?
This is my new career, and when it's all said and done, when I'm finished, everybody's going to have to respect me because I have come here to fight.
This isn't story time with Mum and Dad, you know, this is the real thing, and he's going to learn pretty hard and pretty fast that this was a gigantic mistake on his behalf.
Anderson. Oh, he got hit!
The mixed martial artist rules.
There's all the MMA purists who are up in arms about it, about how I'm 0-0 and I'm getting this shot in the UFC, and it's not right and it's not fair. Yeah, I'm not a black belt in anything. I'm starting from the ground up. There probably is a lot of making up I need to do, but I wanted to just prove that I could do it. I hope to inspire somebody. I was definitely a bit of an outcast. I didn't really fit in. And you have kids like me all over the world who feel like they don't fit in anywhere and they don't have a home. If I can show somebody that they have what it takes to do whatever it is somebody's telling them that they can't or shouldn't even try, I'll feel way better about myself when I go to bed.
What's going on, good people? This is the common man Nate Lewis back with a brand new common take on CM Punk. CM Punk's debut is coming this upcoming Saturday, UFC 203, headlined by the fight for the UFC Heavyweight Championship. Stipe Miocic, the champ, taking on Alistair Overeem. And the CM Punk fight initially was thought to be the co-main, but if you look at the fight card on UFC.com, it looks like it's third from the top. CM Punk taking on Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall was a fighter discovered on Dana's reality TV show Looking for a Fight. He won his fight against Michael Jackson to earn the right to be the man that gets the fight that almost everybody wanted this fight against CM Punk. It'll be at welterweight at 170 pounds. And before I really get rolling on this, I really need to thank my newest sponsor, Herbalife. If you're looking to make a change in your life, looking to increase your energy, looking to lose weight, maintain weight, build muscle mass, whatever you want to do with your life, choose Herbalife. It is one of the best, and I'm not just saying this, is one of the best protein and meal supplement programs you'll ever have. The shakes are delicious. They have energy drinks such as the Lift Off and all types of different health and fitness products. You have to try them out. Check it out, Herbalife.com. So CM Punk, this has been a much heated debate, and it's really interesting because when you get these times where your MMA community and your pro wrestling community bump heads, you typically have one side on is either the MMA community or the pro wrestling community are on one side and the other is on the other. CM Punk is this weird conundrum where he is getting the ire of both pro wrestling and MMA fans. I noticed that when it was first announced, the strongest reaction initially came from the pro wrestling fans who were on Twitter and saw CM Punk's name, I guess, trending at that time and went, "Oh my God, he's finally done. I hope he." And the reaction was really strong. Pro wrestling fans wanted to see Punk get his ass whooped, thinking there was no chance. He's I don't know what. It was a very visceral reaction on that side. And over on the MMA side, which I was watching at that time, because this announcement took place again at UFC 181, the MMA community were upset and frustrated for, seems like kind of a different reason. Not so much that this man left pro wrestling and abandoned all his fans he had there, but just simply for the fact that he's debuting. He has no prior experience in mixed martial arts. He's never had a fight. He doesn't train in any one discipline. And he's getting his opportunity to fight for the biggest MMA organization there is in UFC. And while both sides have their points, and while it is true that Punk has no prior experience, no fights, and his pro wrestling fan base loved him and supported him and made him into the star and name that he is and allowed him to make a comfortable living. at the end of the day, I'm somewhere in, wouldn't even say in the middle. If these two arguments are on the right side, I'm in between the left and being dead in the middle. Listen, the guy has put his body through all types of punishment in pro wrestling. It was something he, as a kid, wanted to be a pro wrestler. He achieved his dream. He became the longest reigning WWE champion in well over a decade. So if the guy has a different passion and a different goal and a different dream, by all means, let the man do it. I support him in that regard. Now, as far as how this fight will go and this decision to take on this new challenge this late in his prime athletic career, that can be something that can be up for debate. I honestly do feel what we're going to see on Saturdays, we're going to see a guy walk in the octagon who he's been training for this fight for well over a year, no doubt, but it's not his first profession. It's not something he grew up doing, or we're going to walk in, we're going to see a guy who's a novice, somebody who's basically a year and a half into really training to do this profession. Now, do I think Punk is going to win this fight? Absolutely not. I never say there's no chance in MMA. We've seen so many upsets and so many things go the way we did not think they were going to go. But I have, I would say less than a 5% chance Punk is going to win this fight. You always give a puncher's chance. But I think what we're going to see on Saturday is we're going to see someone who shows glimpses and flashes of someone who can respectfully be in this company. Someone who's not going to be just a rollover, a punching bag, or anything like that. Now, when I say that, I don't mean this fight's going to decision. I don't say it's going past round 1. But I think at the end of this will be a fight where he gains a little bit of respect from the MMA community. And while the pro wrestling community still might be on his back, they still might jump him, they still might have their ha-ha moments at this, it'll be something that earns him respect. And you're actually kind of already seeing that amongst the MMA community with the documentary series, The Evolution of Punk. If you haven't seen those episodes, if you're a Fight Pass subscriber or on Fight Pass, the episodes are also on YouTube. There's been 3 episodes so far, and the 3 episodes that we've seen have chronicled from the time of the decision to, I believe it was maybe mid-year of 2015, just kind of showing what Punk has gone through up until that point. The decision to move from Chicago to Milwaukee, where he's training at Rufus Sports, some of his sparring sessions, his shoulder injury, which kind of delayed this first debut fight we're going to see. All these things are shown in the documentary, and you're starting to see the MMA community see that Punk's not just doing this to make a mockery or make a quick buck. He still very much could have made good money in WWE. He could still make very good money, even if he didn't want to work for WWE anymore. He could have made tons of money working independents. There's other opportunities and other avenues he could have used to make money. And it's not just something that he wants to scratch off a bucket list. You're able to see during that documentary that it's a man who's just chasing his dream, a man who's wanting to do something that he has a love and passion for. And it's really coming across in the documentary. So I highly recommend you check those out. Now, one of the things that does worry me kind of watching the sparring sessions, and a lot of people make a lot of the sparring sessions of Punk's flat-footedness and the power on his punches and his inability to stop takedowns. Look, editing works both ways. Right now, you could edit that show to make him look like absolute trash at the beginning, and by the end, he can look like $1 million fighter. That's just how editing works. So I don't read too much into that. What I do love is we're seeing that he is earning the respect for those that he's in camp with. He's earning the respect of his coaches. He's listening to his coaches. He's taking everything that they're giving him and trying to apply it, and he's putting his heart into it. And that should earn the respect of both sides, MMA and pro wrestling. And again, this Punk, the whole situation surrounding Punk puzzles me, and I want to get into this. Pro wrestling fans and MMA fans, if you're a fan of both and you go, through any social media or any forums or any groups and you kind of stumble across both, it's two fight bases or two fan bases that really seem to look down on the other. MMA fans will tell you flat out, oh, I stopped watching wrestling when I was insert age and I've outgrown it. It's stupid, it's fake shit. You'll see stuff like that on that side. And on the pro wrestling side, it's a very strong case of, these guys are ripping off pro wrestling to try to sell fights. It's a sport, but it's not boxing. It's guys that are boring. It's slow wrestling. So both sides are very visceral towards the other and feel very personalized when there's attacks on their side. And being a fan of both is almost on my side, or where I positioned at is, how can you hate one or the other? I don't see, there's so much crossover appeal. They appeal mostly they appeal to the exact same fan base. Now, while the pro wrestling fan base tends to skew a lot older, and you can see that in the Raw ratings, I think it's plus 55 ratings for Raw are through the roof. They target the same fan base. Maybe somebody will say, WWE's a PG show and they target younger kids. That may be well and true, but the demographics that drive both markets or drive both companies are the same age group. It's 18 to 35-year-old males. So I've always found it very interesting. And the Brock Lesnar is another thing. When Brock Lesnar fought at UFC 200, these fan bases kind of got to go back at it again. At least with Brock, the MMA fan base saw it as, this is a guy who was a wrestler in college. He's competed in the sport already. He's won a championship. This guy's a beast. And the pro wrestling side, they've seen Brock now for well over a decade. They know his accolades. They know he can wrestle. Brock's the exact opposite of CM Punk. While Brock may have the respect from both sides of both fan bases, both communities, CM Punk has the exact opposite. So it's really interesting to see how these two dynamics always play against each other. So I'm excited. UFC 203 again coming up Saturday. CM Punk. We'll see how this goes. Like I said, I'm not giving it no chance, but the chances are, look, if you got money, you can get it on Gall at a good price. I put my money on Gall. If you're a risk taker, if you're a believer and you're wanting to make some, money on the upset, I would not pick Punk. But hey, I'm ready to see it. You're ready to see it. So now is the time. And before I sign off real quick, I want to get on something that I've been seeing on a couple of MMA boards. Because WWE has the WWE Network and they really aren't driven by pay-per-view buys, the MMA community and how well pay-per-view has been for the UFC in the last 18 months or so, pay-per-view buys and who draws and who's the money fight has become like a big topic of debate. And there's some people floating around numbers of what this show will do, because if you watch any promo or trailer or teaser for this upcoming pay-per-view, it's centered around CM Punk. And the belief was with so many fighters wanting to fight CM Punk, because that would be the show that makes money. That's the show that would bring in a lot of pay-per-view buys. You want to fight Punk to get a percentage of those pay-per-view buys. This is the money fight. And as we're getting close to it, we're less than a week out, I've seen people throw out very low numbers for what the show is expected to do. And in that regard, it reminds me very much of what Ronda's critics would say post the Alexis Davis fight, and really kind of right before her fight with Kat Zingano, where, this person can't carry a pay-per-view. The numbers aren't going to do that great. No one cares. No one's going to buy. No one's talking about it. And I remember going into UFC 184, I thought that Ronda's big push, big drive, and big sales pitch would be the week before the fight, and in particular, the 3 or 4 days before the fight. And as we saw, that pay-per-view did over 600,000 buys. Now with Punk, every interview he's done really before 2 weeks ago has been very, this is my passion, this is what I want to do. I'm in there, it's not a one-time deal for me. I want to fight, I want to improve, I want to get better. And it's been very, it's almost been very skewed to try to appease the MMA community and not the CM Punk pro wrestling fans have gotten to know, which is very braggadocious and almost egotistical. Now, his interview, Punk's interview he did with TMZ a couple days ago, was kind of more of a glimpse into that pro wrestling persona we've seen from Punk in the past. A lot of confidence exuded in that. Still very humble, but you can see the braggadociousness coming out. And I think with this final week coming up, we'll start seeing Punk on more things. We'll see him probably do Sports Center, or he'll do the FS shows. He'll give more interviews. And I think the last 3 or 4 days before the fight, you'll start to see a push in how this card is promoted. And I'm going to predict 600,000 for this fight card also. I think anything below 400,000 is an absolute failure for Punk's ability to draw, for the UFC's decision to put its faith in Phil Brooks, CM Punk, and think that it would be a big draw. So I think 400. If this fight does 400,000, yeah, I mean, even that is scraping a barrel. I shouldn't say poorly promoted UFC show, but a UFC show without the monstrous personalities of your Conor, your Ronda Rousey, your John Jones, or a big, yearly event like the after Super Bowl or end of the year, or the big July Vegas International Fight Week. If you take all those away, your typical UFC card would range anywhere between Mighty Mouse territory of 250, 250, 300,000 buys, and the 400, which is what you saw for UFC 180, 181, which is my biggest. That's your hardcore fan base. Your hardcore fan base is your 250, and your 400 is your hardcore fan base plus a really well-built storyline fight. And I think you got that with that card of 181 when you look at the fact that, it was Gilbert Melendez and Anthony Pettis from Ultimate Fighter, and it was Robbie Lawler and Johnny Hendricks in a rematch of a fight that could have went either way. So that's kind of your, hey, we can put any show together and put maybe an entertaining fight or an intriguing fight, and those are the numbers we get. Anything lower than 400,000 is a complete failure. So 600,000 is what I'm looking at. I think that's a really solid number, just for the fact that people are still thinking this fight might not happen. Mickey Gall isn't a big name, although this does fairly match up in terms of experience to two fighters. We shall see. Like I said, I think 600 is a good number. I wouldn't be surprised if you got to 700. Anything more than that, and not only is the Punk experiment a success, you will see him fight again. No matter if he gets blitzed in less than 10 seconds, you will see him fight again if the show does over 700,000 buys. I guarantee you that. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up today. However you're listening to the show, there is plenty of other ways to listen. There is, you're probably listening to this on SoundCloud or iTunes. There is also my YouTube channel. If you look up the Common Man Podcast on YouTube, I've been slowly uploading some of my older shows that have not made it to YouTube, so please check that out. You can listen to all my old shows on SoundCloud, on iTunes. Make sure you subscribe to get the latest. You can also hit the YouTube fan page, Common Man Podcast. Follow me on Twitter at Common Man Pod. I will be doing more shows more frequently leading up into this show and past this show. And I will be back tomorrow kind of going over Raw and giving a review of Raw for my pro wrestling side. Until then, people, peace and chicken grease.